let's start with the Yankees because I have to tell you, I have to come in here and I have to give you a confession.
Oh, confession?
Yes, my confession was I wanted to see Luis Gil pitch. I wanted to watch his performance. I wanted to see what he looked like. And I want to know who his doctor was. Because whoever his doctor was that fixed his elbow turned this guy into a bionic man. And the fact that he was dealing the way he was dealing last night, I see that's the baseball that I appreciate. When you get a great pitcher up there and that pitcher is dealing and he is dominating the opposing batters. I mean, it was a flawless performance the way I look at it. And they took him out after 6 and they're trying to limit his innings, which I think is really smart. I think, Aaron Boone has got his finger on his pulse. I can't argue about any of that stuff. I wanted to see more. I certainly wanted to see more, especially after Kinley came in and gave up a home run. But that's one thing. I mean, the Yankees are on all cylinders right now. It's pedal to the metal. It's full on. Every aspect of their team is just firing on all cylinders, like I said. And he is so impressive right now. His ball is moving so much, and he's got so much speed, and he's able to work within the lower 90s to the mid 90s, which obviously makes it very difficult for the hitters. So I was thoroughly impressed with him. And then as I'm going back and forth between these games and I'm watching David Peterson, it's nice to see him back in a Met uniform with his second start. Very efficient start last night and did something that not very many pitchers do, go into the 7th inning. So last night was a pitching clinic by 2 pitchers who are coming, one off of a elbow injury and the other one off of a hip injury.
Yes, and Luis Gil kind of fits into this category now of one of these guys. If they can pitch this well, if they can stay healthy and pitch this well throughout the season and then into the postseason, that it makes this team even that more lethal. And I think of other names in the past, guys who would show shades of brilliance but would either get derailed with off-the-field stuff or injuries, and that was Severino and Domingo Germán. Both of those guys, I don't know how many times we sat around and said, man, if they could be this dominant in the postseason, if they could be this good in the postseason, how much longer does that make the rotation? How much more dangerous does that make the Yankees? Now, ultimately, the last number of postseason exits for the Yankees, it's been a lot about the stars not hitting in the postseason. But I'll say the same thing about Luis Gil. And great news on Gerrit Cole last night and his rehab start as he is on track to come back. No issues at all. And he apparently looked very, very good in Somerset. But if Luis Gil keeps this up and they can keep him healthy and they can manage the innings properly, and you've got a guy who's got, I know his ERA is under 2 right now, but if you have a guy with an ERA under 3 looking in command as much as he has, pitching behind Gerrit Cole like this, I mean, he's been their best pitcher. I mean, I know Rodon is supposed to be. I know Stroman has been good, but I mean, you're telling me Luis Gil is going to be right behind Gerrit Cole?
The thing is, you would say that Marcus Stroman has been great, but when you compare him to Luis Gil and what Luis Gil is doing, he's been good because Luis Gil has been off the charts good. And looking at Joel Sherman's his report this morning, and then seeing that Luis Gil has done something that no other pitcher in Yankee history has done, has gone, 7 straight starts, 6 innings, and 1 run or less?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think with all the history that this team has, with all the great pitchers that this team has had.
You want to just name a whole bunch of them while we're sitting here?
I don't, but I'm just saying, I just thought that just, and especially in today's baseball.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a remarkable statistics. Now,
look at these guys. Oh, my goodness. CBS Sports Network putting up 3 or fewer runs and 15 or fewer hits allowed in a single season, 7-outing span, which is a very specific stat, which baseball loves to have. You got Luis Gil 2024, Jacob deGrom 2021, and then before that, Bob Feller in 1946. Reb Russell.
Yeah, the great Reb Russell.
In 1916, and Rube Waddle in 1905.
Rube Waddle.
Yes.
Remember him.
Yeah, guys that I'm assuming are up in Cooperstown somewhere in the halls of the Hall of Fame.
Who knows? But that just goes to show you the domination. And again, I go back to whoever his doctor was. I'm wondering who it was. Because this is the way you come back from Tommy John surgery.
Yeah.
And
we've seen this before. I mean, not maybe this dominant, but we've seen guys come back from Tommy John and be great when they're finally ready to pitch and have more velocity. And it's almost like he learned in that time that he was rehabbing, how to be a better baseball player, how to be a better pitcher and not just a better thrower.
Yeah, I would think that he's got to be, he's trending towards being the starter in the All-Star game, assuming that he lines up for it. And I just hope that, his second half of the season, because you know how this thing goes. A guy has a first half, he's dominant, and then all of a sudden he comes back in the second half, and things aren't quite as dominant, and, maybe they lose a little bit of their control. But that's the thing to me. Watching him pitch last night was like the control. Watching where he's able to put the ball now and how the ball is moving and the different speeds he's throwing it with and how he's controlling pretty much every pitch he's throwing. I would imagine that for the infielders and the outfielders that are standing behind him, watching him pitch up close and personal under these current set of circumstances has got to be pretty special.
I don't know why I haven't bet the Yankees every single time they played the Minnesota Twins in the last decade. How come we're not doing that all together? Every single game. And I know the vig is what it is with stuff like this, but meaning that the Yankees are heavy favorites, especially in games like last night. But, I mean, I can't remember. I mean, last year I think there might have been a stretch because the Yankees had that rough year. But when the Yankees are good, they never, ever, ever lose to this team. And the Yankees are generally good in making the playoffs, as we know. I mean, the Twins are just a doormat. I mean, they're the Washington Generals to the Globetrotters. They're just there to play a part in these games. I mean, really. It's got to be an embarrassment for that organization. And every time they play the Yankees, it's just an automatic loss.
Well, I mean, they still have 2 games left in this series, so we'll see what happens. But the thing
I'll tell you what's going to happen. They're going to lose the Twins to the Yankees.
The great thing is Sunday night. It's Luis Gil against the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's right.
That is
national TV,
must-see TV, baby. That is going to be awesome. And that's an ESPN game, I guess.
Well, yeah, it's Sunday Night Baseball, yes. So you've gotten in the Saturday national game, too, for the Yankees and Dodgers. So, yeah, that's going to be great after they smack the Twins around. We were giving away those Twins tickets. Now, I was basically saying, it's an absolute win. It's a lock.
Here come the Twins.
That's right. Here come the 3
Twins.
wins.
That's right, man.
Here come the Twins. Here come 3 wins.
Listen, we're not Yankee fans, so you're not touching the money. I just got to say that he was about as impressive as I was hoping that he was going to be, just because I zeroed in on what he was doing last night.
You were zeroing in?
I was zeroed in.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you were. Yeah. And I'm glad that this season is continuing to go in the way that it is. And obviously, it's for the Yankees. It's going to be about, can these guys pitch and hit in the postseason? And, C-Mac said something this morning that was interesting because he's the huge Yankee fan and he runs Yankee Hot Stove from 4 to 5 a.m. And it's not Hot Stove anymore. It's more like Yankeeography now that he's doing 4 to 5 during the season. But
we should have that music underneath him.
Yeah.
Like when when he's doing that hour.
It's Chris McMonagle with Yankeeography every morning on WFAN.
So he said, for all of the Yankee fans that have called him up and said that this team is built correctly, if they fall short in the postseason, are they going to then call up and say that Brian Cashman is a terrible general manager?
Yeah,
because you can't have it both ways. You just can't have it both ways, which he's right. Now, we're still in early June. These seasons go on forever, and we have no idea what the hell is going to happen. We're going to be sitting here talking about Luis Gil. God knows where he's going to be in August. You hope he's going to be great, but just like I brought up those other names in Severino and Domingo Germán, you have no idea. So you hope that he's going to end up being great and his team continues to hit and Aaron Judge stays healthy and Garrett Cole comes back and dominates and all of these things that you need to win a championship. But if they don't, does that mean that Brian Cashman did a terrible job in an offseason where he said that it was extremely important for them to come back and have a productive year?
You know what? I just think health plays a big part in all of this. And the fact that they lost their number one starter, Garrett Cole, and now he looks like he's on his way back as he hit 97, as you said, in Somerset last night. I would think that as long as they are healthy going into the second half of the season, then ultimately the playoffs, and guys are playing 155 games. I mean, they're a freight train right now. They are a freight train. I don't know.
Well, they're a freight train that's also only 2.5 games up on the second-place team in the division.
Yeah, I know. Baltimore's got a really good team, and they're staying with them step for step, and that's going to be a great. I mean, that's going to be a great race. It should be a great race in August and September. It should be.
Yes, I would expect it to be. Of course, you can't. I mean, I
just back to the days of Earl Weaver.
Wow. Yeah, the great Earl Weaver and some of the managerial musings that he had, cursing out umpires.
Love that guy. Love
all of that stuff.
Love him.
I mean, he was one of the true originals in great managers ripping umpires. You know?
Oh yes.
He was a guy.
Well, Terry Collins had a little of that in him.
He had a little Earl Weaver in him. But I mean, yeah, it's like one of those things where Earl Weaver set the foundation to be the guy just ripping the hell out of umpires. Tommy Lasorda sort of came after that type of, those type of guys.
They just eat, slept, and drank baseball.
Yes,
kind of guy. Baseball guys, smoking cigarettes, probably smoking cigarettes. Doing some tobacco chew, and sitting there in that corner spot where Joe Torre used to sit. Mm-hmm. I don't know, really. Joe was a little bit more relaxed.
He was always very, very relaxed,
very chill, man.
Yeah, I mean, and Aaron Boone is relaxed until he's not. I mean, he is very, very relaxed, and then when he goes off on an umpire, he goes off on an umpire. I mean, he gets thrown out all the time because he's screaming at these guys, which is great because he shows some emotion here and there. But, it's funny because those two guys will not get credit until they get to the World Series.
Yeah, I know.
Neither one of them will. And have you heard anybody go, man, Aaron Boone's doing a great job this year? I mean, have you heard anybody say that?
No, it only happens when something goes awry that Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone are brought up.
Yeah, which is sort of the nature of this thing.
I was thinking like last night, Luis Heel they pull him after 6, and I think Michael Kay and the guys were talking about it, and they and they discussed why they pulled him out, and I thought it was very pragmatic and. That's exactly what he should have done. Now, they went on to win the game. Now, if they would have went on to lose the game, I don't know what the reaction overall would have been.
Yeah, but everybody knows his situation and what they're trying to do over the course of a long regular season. Which I
think is the smart thing to do. So, I just, the only time we ever hear about Cashman and Boone is if they lose. That's the only time. I mean, like Yankee fans have legitimate expectations. We are in the midst of one of these great seasons that they're putting together. It's much like the Rangers season for me as a fan, and much like a Nick season for us as fans.
Yeah.
You enjoy the ride, you enjoy the storyline that's going to get you there, the impact that Soto has had, the unexpected impact of Luis Heel. Maybe they expected it, but I don't necessarily know that any of us expected it. And then you look at, the way that they seem to be getting along and how well they kind of mesh together as teammates, which is exactly what the Rangers were this year, which is exactly what the Knicks were this year. I mean, this is going to be one of these, I would think, one of these electric summers when it comes to baseball with the Yankees.
Yeah, and 2022 was one of those as well. The Yankees got off to an amazing start. It was the Aaron Judge year with the 62 home runs, but it took away, and I think the second half of the season was all about Judge because the Yankees had essentially wrapped up that division. Now, it got a little dicey and a little close with the Toronto Blue Jays. It might have gone down to 6 or 5 or whatever it was, but they were cruising throughout the entire year. Now, I don't think that the Yankees are going to have a home run chase distraction this year. I think Aaron Judge is going to hit 1 million home runs, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be on the forefront. And maybe they learned something from that 2022 season where they just completely fell off a cliff. Going from being the best team, having all the All-Stars, we were making comparisons to their record to the 1998 New York Yankees, and then in the second half, it was just like this limp to the finish. It's all about Aaron Judge. They barely get past the Guardians and get swept by the Astros. So I do think that because that was in such recent memory, and then they followed that up with a season where they didn't make the playoffs, that both Boone and Cashman are saying, all right, what did we learn from 2022 where we're not going to have this repeat? We've been in this situation 2 years ago. We're in this exact same situation.
I mean, they added Juan Soto.
Juan Soto!
That's what they learned, and they also have a dominant bullpen on top of it. So when you think about the way that they're playing defense right now, the way that Anthony Volpe has matured into his his early part of his major league career and what he has meant at the most important position in all of baseball at shortstop. And not only that, just getting on base and setting the table, as they say. He's been amazing. They've all been amazing. Maybe Anthony Rizzo is the guy that's scuffling a little bit right now.
Yeah.
But not everybody's going to be going at the same time. So he'll have his 2 to 3 week, hot weeks here and there. And as long as he plays a solid defense at first base, they're not going to be missing, timely hits from him, so to say, because other guys are hitting, and Stanton be one of them.
Absolutely.